But again, trade deadline comes and goes. Tigers make one move, not so much. They are able to trade Michael Lorenzen to the Phillies for infielding prospect 20-year-old Hao-Yu Lee from the Phillies organization. As we said, he will report to West Michigan, and that is where he will get things moving. And I will say this, and it gets lost in the sauce. Before we do the Eduardo thing, I do want to say this. He traded a signing. Scott Harris traded a signing he made, and Hao-Yu Lee walks in the door, and boom, he's a number 6 prospect in the organization. Just like that. A middle infielder with an OPS around 800 during his minor league career. Could you imagine somebody with an OPS around 800 in this lineup?
Can't think of it.
You'd be the Barry Bonds of the Tigers lineup if you had an 800 OPS here. And he's a middle infielder. Kind of like a Swiss Army thing. I will say this about this move. Scott Harris, the types of players he goes and gets, seems to be very intentional with what he wants to do. And sometimes you see this and it's lip service. It's turning out to be true. The types of players Scott Harris wants, guys that command the strike zone, both hitters and pitchers. We are seeing it, and it is playing out. And I think that's a good return for a career year from Michael Lorenzen.
For 2 months of Michael Lorenzen.
And the blip in the radar throughout his entire career. Good return. I'm happy with it. You know, again, you can't compare what Verlander fetched versus what Michael Lorenzen fetched, or even what Verlander fetched back. And you guys record this, screen grab this, all of it. I will slightly defend Al Avila.
Oh, Jesus.
For the following 2 sentences, and that's it. You can't compare the return that the Mets got for Justin Verlander with the return that the Tigers got from Justin Verlander, because the Mets paid around $40 million of salary. That's why. The Astros have Justin Verlander for about $17 million a year for the next 2 years and change. That's why they got the number 1 prospect and their number 4 prospect, or whatever ranking system everybody runs to all the time, like it's a fantasy football draft. That's why they got that return. Ownership of the Tigers wanted it done a different way. Shocker, I know. They wanted to say, hey, how can we avoid paying the most salary that we can avoid paying? That's the difference in the two. So I'll cut him some slack right there. Scott Harris with this deal, I thought did a pretty good job. A promising, A-ball player that's 20 years old, that's had right around an 800 OPS. I'll take it, and we'll see. And not only that, Yuli has been somebody that's played up. When I say that, typically younger than the level that he's playing at, and played well.
Yeah.
So the signs are there. Now, whether or not he pans out, that's a step up to the crap table. Remember, you traded Michael Lorenzen, too. You didn't trade Ohtani.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, it's the return you expected for 2 months of Michael Lorenzen. It's nothing crazy, but it's better than nothing. And you got a guy, like you said, who knows how to hit the ball. He commands the strike zone. He's got a little pop in his bat. And he's only 20 years old, so is it going to be 3 years until we see him? Probably, but it's a guy that can fit the mold of, like you said, what Scott Harris likes to get. He's not going to strike out a lot. He's going to put the ball in play. He's going to do things to get on base, and he's a good fielder. So it's not something that will blow you away like, oh, look at the return. It's not a Steve Eisenman fleecing, but it's what you expect to get out of a guy who had a career year. He was an all-star, kind of a pity all-star if you ask me, but still, every team's got to have one.
Yeah.
And it's 2 months of Michael Lorenzen, so you got the 5th best prospect in the Phillies organization. I'm taking it.
100%.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished there. So everything was moving along according to plan. The Eduardo Rodriguez thing was going to be the next, quote, domino to fall. And Scott Harris thought he had a deal in place with the Dodgers. Now, here's the deal with it. Here's my take. I got asked this a couple of times on social media today. You want to know what it was with Scott Harris? I do believe, and look, I'm not reporting this. This isn't what I know to be fact. I believe this to be fact. I don't know it for sure. And sometimes, guys, things are just this simple. I think Eduardo Rodriguez said yes. I honestly believe that. Said yes. He had this deal done with the Dodgers. It was a done deal. Rodriguez said yes. And when it came time to do it, he changed his mind and said no. I do believe that it is this simple. Now, for those of you out there, for the less nuanced, maybe like the Sam Flannels of the world, let me tell you how things like this work, Flannel, okay? First off, let me make sure. I don't want to speak out of turn here. What did you say this morning about the Scott Harris situation on Morning Woodward?
I basically said that I was disappointed that the Dodgers deal didn't go through. This is the best Eduardo Rodriguez has pitched ever in his life, and I think his trade value is at its peak level. So the fact that it wasn't able to get done, I was a little bit disappointed and taken aback, even if Eduardo Rodriguez had every right to wait to implement that 10-team no-trade clause. That's basically what I said in a nutshell.
Okay. What did you think about Harris's conference and what he said, or lack thereof of what he said? What was your take on that?
I mean, it didn't seem like he was very open about things. I will just say that. I don't know. I think the bottom line is just that it didn't get done, whether it's for the reason that you think or
the final word,
or the miscommunication was, I would say there might have been a miscommunication. It's just, to me, it's disappointing that it couldn't get done. But I will give Scott Harris this. This Dodgers team, they really needed Eduardo Rodriguez. This isn't the Dodgers team of yesteryear. Julio Urias is having a bad season. Mm-hmm. Tony Gonsolin is having a down year. Noah Syndergaard was an abject disaster, and Walker Buehler hasn't pitched the whole season, and Dustin May has some injury issues. So maybe Scott Harris thought that the potential return for a team that really needed an Eduardo Rodriguez was worth the risk. I can kind of see it both ways.
Yeah, so here's the deal, guys. Here's how the real world works, especially in sports. Scott Harris is the president of a Major League Baseball team. At no time is he going to go in front of that microphone and say, yeah, we had a deal done. Eduardo Rodriguez agreed, and then he changed his mind. Mm-hmm. In no world is that ever going to be said. He's the president of a baseball team. This is a situation, and you guys will learn this, Spencer. Sam Flannel, you're on your way to learning this. Scott Harris was what I like to call caught in the middle. When you're married, this happens to you all the time. Around the holidays, family events, in-laws, your parents, your family, their family, all of it. All you want to do is mow the lawn and have a beer. But sometimes you get caught in the middle, where you have to take it from both sides.
Hey, yo.
And that's what Scott Harris is finding himself in right now, in my opinion. He can't get in front of that microphone and say, yeah, you know, Eduardo Rodriguez really effed us there. We had the deal done with the Dodgers because of all the conditions that Sam Flannel talked about, where the Dodgers are desperate. Because let me tell you a secret about the LA Dodgers right now. In no world are they going to win the World Series this year.
Yeah, not a chance.
As they are constructed. You going to go up against the Braves?
No.
With that rotation, and think you're going to win?
I mean, it's basically Clayton Kershaw and the band of mid this year. I know Julio Urias and Tony Gonsolin have a track record. Dustin May has been good when he's pitched, but
yes. And let me let you know a little secret about Clayton Kershaw in the postseason.
Absolutely,
he's mid too.
He's basically the Peyton Manning of pitchers. That's basically what he is. And the Los Angeles Dodgers are one of the biggest postseason underachievers of any team in any sport in any era ever.
Leo in the WoodwardSports.com chat thread. Or maybe Scott had an Alavila-esque moment. No, Leo, they had the deal done. And for all like the plan B people that are out there, well, what was the plan B? There was no plan B. He told them yes. Allegedly, in my opinion. He told them, yes, I'll do it. And then when it came time to do it, he changed his mind. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? If you're Scott Harris, what are you going to do? And I saw this earlier, too, about the pennies on the dollar people. Steven Syrett said it, I believe, and said, I'm glad that he didn't just fold up the tents. Here it is. Good for Harris not taking plan B and getting pennies on the dollars like Alavila used to do. And, Steven, here's the deal with that. For me, in the end, who has the leverage if you're a bad team with a good pitcher that might not be around next year? Who has the leverage?
The pitcher.
The pitcher.
The pitcher does. And the teams that are trying to acquire him. Mm-hmm. That's just the nature of the beast, man. That's negotiations 101. because you're the one, quote unquote, stuck with him.